Alright, guys, we're getting to the final stretch. We're going to talk about your digestive system, which is quite a workload. It is a lot of information. This is where I would say that your lab notebook will really come in handy, especially with physiology. It spans from pages 125 to 142 in there. If you don't have it, you need to email somebody, one of your classmates that has it, and get some screenshots or something because it is a lot to remember. But I do have this fun picture of Ryan Reynolds saying, "Hey girl, keep studying. I believe in you." And just like Ryan Reynolds, I do believe in you. I know it won't be the end of the world. So just kicking it right off. Your digestive tract, the strict organs, and the accessory organs. These are the things that make up your digestive system. So the accessory organs, they secrete substances that aid in digestion, but they're not technically a part of the tube, is what I call it. The strict organs literally run from your mouth to your anus, and it's one complete, what I call a tube, because it's, when you think about it, that's all it is. It's like a giant pasta noodle or something. It varies in size and thickness and shape and structure and all that, but it's all one big pool noodle. It starts with food and it breaks down into the products of digestion. It includes your esophagus, the stomach, the intestines, the colon, the rectum, and all the way to the anus. Some of your accessory organs are salivary glands, the liver, the gallbladder, the pancreas, all of it. So, I have a lot of information on here, but don't let it intimidate you. What does the digestive system do? Well, there's about 7 really important things we're going to focus on. Number 1 is the ingestion of food. Eating. One of my favorite activities. The structures are associated with the mouth and the oral cavity. That includes your lips, your teeth, your tongue, your salivary glands, your hard and soft palate, uvula, etc. Everything in that area. Then there's the physical, mechanical breakdown of food, which is the chewing of the teeth, churning of the stomach, and segmentation. Segmentation meaning contents of the stomach are rolled out, becoming narrower and longer, thereby increasing the surface area in the intestines, aiding in digestion. It's like a specialization of these organs to really, really help digestion. There's the chemical breakdown of your food, which is completely done by enzymes. The enzymes that aid in your digestion. Food storage in your stomach, food and water absorption, which takes place in your small and large intestines, with nutrient absorption being in the small intestine and the water and feces formation in the large intestine. Vitamin synthesis occurs in your large intestine. Oh my gosh, I cannot speak today. And the elimination of indigestible material, which is excretion, coming from your large intestine into your colon through your rectum. You know about it. So, like I said before, it's all one giant tube, and you can kind of see it better this way. But we're going to follow that pathway of the digestion to learn the anatomy. You can see the gallbladders off to the side over there, but everything else is all together. So starting with your pharynx, which just means throat, there's a few subdivisions. You've probably heard of the pharynx before, but you might not know that there's the nasopharynx, the oropharynx, and the laryngopharynx. Now you do. I said that in the order that they come, nasopharynx being at the back of your nose, practically the oropharynx being right where your tongue is, think oral, and the laryngopharynx is more going on down towards the esophagus. And there is the esophagus, that tube you've heard of before. Very famous, very famous. You aren't responsible for knowing about the nasal cavity just yet. Your teeth. Once again, I'm going to say that when we talk about George, we're talking about this anatomical figure that we have in the lab. Right now you can see inside his head, looking at his teeth. We have the cuspids, the molars, the incisors, and the bicuspids. So know these structures. You're responsible for all of these structures that may or may not be on the practical, including the gingiva, sure you've heard of gingivitis. These are your gums, right? Great. There's more on the next slide. Yeah, talking about the gingiva again. The enamel, which is the outer white layer of your tooth. The crown is the overall structure of the front of the tooth, or the top, I should say. The pulp is all inside, on the very inside with those blood vessels and nerves. The roots go and exit the teeth into the gums, or into the alveolus, which is this white, spongy looking material. The cementum is this thin blue layer in the bottom part of the tooth, and the dentin is this light green layer, which is sort of like the intermittent filling in between the enamel and the pulp. Did I get everything? I think so. So here's some more mouth morphology with your tongue, the epiglottis, which is like a little fold, the uvula, which is that little dangly bit in the back of your throat, looks like a punching bag. The soft palate is like the roof of your mouth but further back. And the oral cavity is just your mouth. Yep. Good stuff. The esophagus is there again, but you know her already. You can see the parotoid gland and the submandibular glands here. These are your salivary glands, sublingual gland. These all have the same purpose. They excrete your saliva, which contains enzymes that begin the process of digestion. So take a good look at them inside George's head. Yes, the lingual papillae. If you ever shine a flashlight down your throat and you see large bumps on the back of your tongue, there you have it. There's your lingual papillae. All right. Moving on to your stomach. When describing the shape of the stomach, it is good to be able to orient yourself. The smaller, more curved inside is the lesser curvature. The broader curved side is the greater curvature. The pylorus is at the very bottom of your stomach, connecting it to your small intestine. The cardiac orifice is the structure that connects to your esophagus. The fundus is a large portion of the top of your stomach. The rugae is a textured area in your stomach that is basically just folds of inner skin that can expand, and that allows your stomach to expand so you can get a good opportunity to stuff yourself. And then the pyloric sphincter is the area of the stomach that cinches itself shut when it's in the process of digestion, and then when it's ready to move on, it relaxes. Looking at your intestines, we can see my favorite, the duodenum. It is my favorite because it is fun to say, and for no other reason than that. So you can expect to see that later, maybe. The duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. These are all parts of your small intestine. So it starts with the duodenum. It is the upper part, the very first part that connects to the stomach. The jejunum connects next. And the ileum connects to the jejunum. And this all makes up that giant mass in the middle of your small intestines. And then in the figures to the, or the middle figure that's closer to the left, you can very clearly see the large intestine. But we're looking at it closer here. So your large intestine got that name because it is just larger than your small intestine. In case you were wondering. You can see the right flexure and the left flexure, the sigmoid colon, the appendix, the rectum, the sigmoid flexure, the cecum, the anus, the ascending colon and the descending colon, excuse me. They call it this because of the order. So, that ileum of the small intestine connects directly into the ascending colon, which then travels across the transverse colon and then down into the descending colon, all the way to the sigmoid colon, which eventually gets to your rectum and then to the anus. Did I get everything? Yes. Here we see your pancreas again. We went over this last lecture. Really important gland. Aids in digestion. The pancreatic duct can be seen on all models. Yes, yes, yes. What else did I want to include? I can't think of anything. Looking at your liver. Sure you're familiar with this structure, but here it is again, with the anterior, superior, and posterior view. You can see the right and left lobe, the left lobe being the smaller lobe, with the right lobe being the really large bulbous lobe. You can see the caudate lobe on top with the superior view, and the posterior view you can see the quadrate lobe, which is under. The gallbladder rests against your liver. You can see all the different structures associated with it, including the gallbladder itself, the cystic duct, the right hepatic duct, the left hepatic duct, the common hepatic duct, and the common bile duct. So it looks like a lot, but it's really not that much to memorize. Just make sure you can tell which direction we're talking about based on anatomical terms, not relative terms, and you shouldn't have a problem. So I'm going to briefly go over digestive enzymes because tomorrow's lecture is specifically about them. But here's just a tiny little overview. An enzyme is a substance produced by any living thing which acts as a catalyst in some biochemical reaction. Digestive enzymes are secreted throughout the GI tract. That's the gastrointestinal tract, aka your digestive tract. And the enzymes are specific to their substrate, as they all are. And so we have many enzymes to break down the food in our diets. And here's a little diagram that can show you how this kind of works. So lipase is an enzyme, and it's showing you how it separates fatty acids from glycerol, and that's exactly what they can do. So enzymes will charge reactions when they bond, and lipase happens to have this exact function of separating fatty acids from glycerol. These enzymes help us get everything we need from our diet because it's able to separate the organic compounds that we ingest and can give us the essential nutrients that we need to survive. There's the binding of an enzyme at the bottom. Oh god, it's blurry up close, but you'll get this online separately so you can look at it a little bit closer. But it's just a step-by-step what everything does. It goes over it better in your lab notebook, but this is just a tiny diagram to help you. Yeah. I don't think I'll be using any information from this specific image on your practicals. I'll probably rely more on stuff from your lab notebook. Okay. Yep. That's all I have today. So just be sure to watch this, rewatch it, answer your questions, and you'll be good to go.